Welcome to the episode of The Wrong Reviewer. My name is Will, where I do tech unboxing, tech reviews, and tech tutorials. And in today's episode, we are going to review Google Meet video conferencing. Google Meet is something similar to Zoom, WebEx, Skype. It's a video conferencing tool for people to use. They recently released it for free for anybody to use. In this video, I'm going to highlight some of the features I liked about Google Meets, and I'm also going to highlight some of the things we didn't like about Google Meets and who we think Google Meets is meant for. I asked two of my friends to help me review Google Meets, so you heard some of their feedback and comments as well. So without further ado, let's get to the review. It's really simple to start a Google Meet. It's already built into your Gmail account. So when you log into your Gmail, on your left-hand side, there's the sidebar with all the different folders that you have. So there's a new section called Meet. So you can start a meeting or join a meeting. So here I'm going to start a meeting. I just click on it. The camera is starting, shows my camera's on, my microphone is on, and I'm going to hit join now. And then gives me a link. I can copy it if I want to, or add people through my email. And I just wait for people to join. It's pretty simple. I don't have to log into anything. I just have to log into my Gmail account, and I am ready to start my Google meeting. As host, by default, you have to admit each person into the video conference meeting. A pop-up appears with the person's name, and you have the option to either deny or admit them into the video conference room. A pop-up appears to indicate the person has joined the meeting, in this case, Josh Goodrow. The attendee has to turn on their camera and microphone for us to see and hear them. In this Google Meet demo, I wanted to highlight some of the key Google Meet features. The first feature we wanted to highlight was the closed captions. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's an option to turn on the captions. I'm going to select Turn on Captions. As I'm talking, the captions will appear on the bottom right-hand side, which is very nice, especially for those who are hearing impaired or in a room where they can't turn the speaker on very loud. Just to be able to read the caption is a plus. However, we did notice when you move the mouse, the bottom bar comes out and it does block the captions and you can't see some of those words. For the sake of a video demonstration, I'm going to leave the caption on, and now it's just one huge long run-on sentence at the very bottom of the screen. So, gentlemen, what do you guys think of having the captions turned on? And do you think it's distracting for other people? What do you guys think?
So I noticed that we actually have to each individually turn it on. So even when you had yours turned on, I didn't turn mine on and it didn't pop up. So that feature is actually nice in that if only one person wanted it, but not everybody did, they can just have it on themselves. Yeah, I like it, except for the pop-up bar covers the text. So otherwise,
yeah.
I think it works well. Yeah.
I think that one of the interesting things is that within both full screen and partial screen, it does the exact same bar. One of the things I really do like about it is that the text is actually fairly accurate for correcting for sentences and vocabulary and stuff like that. And it's actually very close to almost one-to-one time. So there's very little lag compared to a lot of voice speech.
I'm just going to go through some of the features here. On the bottom right-hand corner, there are 3 dots. When you click on it, it's going to bring you up a set of options that you can choose. You have the opportunity to change the layout, full screen, turn off captions, settings, report a problem, report abuse, and help. What we're going to look at is we're going to look at change layout. Google Meet offers 3 layouts: Sidebar, Spotlight, and Tiled. We're going to take a look at Sidebar. For Sidebar, all the participants will be on the right-hand side of the sidebar on the right, where you can see Josh's, and the main person speaking will be in the main windows. In this case, Liam is the last person talking.
Howdy. Did I show up? Yep.
Because Josh says something, now these switch places. Josh is now in the main window and Liam's on the sidebar. Now we're going to look at Spotlight. Only the main person speaking or the last person speaking is highlighted in the main window, and there's no thumbnails or other camera views on the right-hand side. Liam, say something?
Yep.
Now that Liam said something, the camera view automatically pops to him. He is now in the main focus of the window. The last thing we're going to look at is the tiled layout. I'm going to select it, and now it brings both camera views, both Liam and Josh, into view. So one thing about Google Meets that is different from Zoom and tile view is I don't see myself. I just see Liam and Josh, and I'm not sure if Google Meet assumes we don't need a video of ourselves talking. I know personally, I like having my video on the tile screen along with everyone else's. What about you guys? What do you think of not seeing yourself in video conference?
Yeah, I find it a little bit distracting sometimes, so I'll turn it off because I tend to look at myself more than I need to be. But even now, like in the top right-hand corner, there is a little box with my video in it. I don't know if you have that for you, Will. And if you click on that, actually, it'll pin your, if you double click on it, it'll pin your video as the big one up top. But I kind of appreciate having it small like that so I can, okay, yeah, things are centered, things look okay, but it's not taking up like a third of the screen in our case, and then I'm not as tempted to look at myself.
Yeah, I think it really adds to the kind of in-person feel of it. So you wouldn't really see yourself in person when you're talking. So I think it kind of adds to that immersive quality of Google Meets compared to Zoom.
In terms of attendee administration, I only have 3 options: remove, mute their microphone, or pin them. When I pin them to the screen, and for instance I pin Liam, even if Josh talks, Liam will remain on the screen.
Yeah, it shouldn't move me at all.
Even though Josh is talking, Liam still remains on the screen. I'm going to unpin him now, and both Josh and Liam are back in the tile view. I can mute Liam. Liam's going to talk, and of course we can't hear him because he's muted. The one thing I don't like as administrator is the inability to unmute him like I can in Zoom. Liam has to go in and unmute himself. I can tell when Liam unmutes himself when the microphone icon lights up again. Another lacking feature is the inability to turn off his camera like I can in Zoom. So if Josh decides to be mad and make rude gestures, I can't turn off his camera. I can only mute him, so I can't hear the expletives coming out of his mouth, but I can still see the gestures from the camera. Again, that's another difference between Zoom and Google Meets. Josh, I know as part of your job, you host a lot of meetings. What do you think of not having the control of your attendees' microphone or camera?
Yeah, I haven't had the need to do any of those, but just with your example, for example, I could see it as a handy feature. Or if a particular person had a lot of background noise that was really disruptive, then I can mute them and not wait for them or ask them, hey, can you mute yourself? I mean, that's really handy too. And if I notice that they're talking, but they forgot to unmute themselves, then I can quickly unmute them and not interrupt their flow of thought too.
That's a very good point. So Liam, what about you? As the fact that I can mute you, but then you have to mute yourself. Do you like that better? Do you like the control over your microphone?
Yeah, coming from more of a user's perspective rather than a host, I think that the ability to mute and for the host to control is really important. The fact that I need to turn it on is still a very good feature. However, I think that the host being able to prompt if I didn't notice that I was still muted is a very good thing as well that this platform doesn't really allow for.
So another feature that we noticed that Google Meet doesn't have is the fact that it doesn't have a virtual background or a green screen, so you can have your own background overlay behind you as you talk. I know personally I don't use it, but I'm curious to know if Josh and Liam, do you guys use it?
Not for me personally, no.
I think for me, I guess for maybe some of the younger generation people, we may have things that we don't really want to show. So sometimes either blurring that background or changing it completely is sometimes a good option for us to use, but it doesn't seem like it's a major feature that everyone needs.
Another feature that's lacking in Google Meets is the ability to easily share documents with each other. I know in Zoom, it was very easy for me to drag a document into the chat and share it with the group for some collaboration. But in Google Meets, when I go and select attachments, it prompts me to go to some kind of calendar mode. So as you can see here, I hit attachments, it's saying I have to do some kind of Google Calendar. And so it's not intuitive on how I want to share a document with a bunch of people. Another feature that we noticed was lacking was the chat feature. In Zoom, we're allowed to private message other participants in the group. However, in Google Meets, you don't have the option to private message anyone. So right away, when you type a message, everyone can see that message. So is this a big deal for you guys, not being able to private message other participants in a group?
I think depending on the situation, it could be something that if someone was presenting to a large group and they want to talk to someone in particular, let's say like maybe a mediator between them rather than talking and having the entire group see it, I think it's an all right feature, but not particularly that necessary.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the context. So some meetings you may not, and actually in Zoom you can turn off allow people to message each other privately. You may not want to allow that just for like background conversations happening that may be distractive or disruptive in some way, but in other contexts it actually might be handy to have that on. So it would depend on the type of meeting and I guess the personality of the people running it. So I do like having the option for either or in it.
Google Meets does allow you to share your screen. Here are the options. You can share your entire screen, you can share a window, or you're just a Chrome tab. In this example, I'm just going to show you how I show a Chrome tab using Google Meets. I'm going to share a Chrome tab. I'm just going to select Chrome tab. A menu pops up with all the different tabs I have open currently in Chrome. I'm going to select Safeway, hit share, and now everyone can see my Chrome tab, which is Safeway. Okay, I think we did a good job going through some of the key features of Google Meets. Now I'm going to throw it to you guys. What do you guys think about Google Meets? Is it something you guys would personally use? What's your overall impression of it?
Yeah, no, I think the value of this one is it is simple for people who might feel overwhelmed by all the options in Zoom, especially on the front end as a host, like as you're setting up the meeting. This one you can just kind of jump right in. I personally don't feel it's as immediately user-friendly as Zoom is, but that could be just because I was using Zoom first and I'm more familiar with it overall. So I think the benefit of this one is it's just simple to just jump right in. We just need to we're just going to meet in chat. We don't need to share files. We don't need to, even screen sharing is not as good in Meet, I find, as Zoom. So if you just want a straight up meeting and maybe with the added accessibility of the captions, like Zoom or Meet is nice for that.
For me, I would probably consider using Google Meets just because the video quality and the way that it's set up seems to be simple enough. And since I am more accustomed to using Google's other applications, I can substitute a lot of those functions from Zoom into Google's other applications.
All right, so that's some of the feedback we have about Google Meets. I hope it was informative for you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Like the video and consider subscribing to my channel for similar content. So thank you for watching, and until next time.